Hello and welcome to our fourth and final Startup Canada Equal Slice webinar of 2025, Navigating the Support Ecosystem. I'm Isabel Nolan, Director of Programs at Startup Canada, and you're all very welcome. To begin, I would like to acknowledge the land on which I am on today is located on the unceded and traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations, also known as Vancouver. As we are a national organisation, I'd also like to acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of all Indigenous peoples of this land. And I encourage you to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional territory that you're residing on today. So today's session is being recorded. We'll add it to our YouTube channel afterwards as a living resource. We welcome everyone to connect with each other in the chat. Make sure that you're sending your messages to everyone in the room. It does default to send to just myself and the speakers, so that's just a slight adjustment you have to make. So a little bit about Startup Canada. We're a national nonprofit that's a gateway to Canada's entrepreneurial ecosystem. We're here to support entrepreneurs with the support, community, and tools that they need to build a successful business in Canada. And we're super delighted to be joining forces with Pizza Hut to empower entrepreneurs by providing them access to funding, educational webinars like today's, and business resources that can help break down systemic barriers. With that belief, we really truly see that everyone deserves an equal opportunity to succeed. And the Startup Canada Equal Size program offers pitch competitions and educational support year round. Before we kick things off, I'd love to introduce you to Hannah White. She is the head of people at Pizza Hut Canada. So, Hannah, over to you.
Thanks, Isabel. So excited to see you guys all join us today for the webinar. Many people, the first thing they ask me when they see Pizza Hut in this space, they're like, what is Pizza Hut doing here? Why is Pizza Hut supporting entrepreneurs? And so this is actually our fifth year running our Equal Slice program, but our first year with Startup Canada. And our program has always been foundational in terms of providing entrepreneurs access to resources, education, and then most importantly, funding, because we know that's one of the most challenging things for entrepreneurs to get access to. So through our pitch competitions, we allow businesses to pitch their ideas, pitch their innovations, and receive a grant from Pizza Hut Canada to help their business grow. So definitely, I know the team has dropped it in the link, but definitely check out our Startup Canada webpage and really get yourself involved if you want to join us for any of our pitch competitions. But why Pizza Hut is supporting entrepreneurs. One fun fact about us is that we were born from entrepreneurship. Two brothers borrowed $700 from their mom to open up the very first Pizza Hut in the US. And since then, it expanded to be a global brand. But now, today, every single one of our Pizza Hut restaurants in Canada is owned and operated by a franchisee who are entrepreneurs in and of themselves, oftentimes owning multiple businesses outside of just Pizza Hut Canada restaurants. And so as our role, as my role of head of people, and many other roles in what we call our restaurant support center, is all about providing all of the support our franchisees need to run successful Pizza Huts. And so this is what inspired our Equal Slice program, us being able to provide toolkits and education to you guys, as oftentimes you're not a part of organizations that have free learning opportunities. So this is sort of our goal, to bring this to you in this community. And we're just so thankful to be with Startup, an amazing ecosystem with such good connections and really great resources. So huge shout out. And I'd like to thank Karla, Candace, and AJ for joining us today to be our guest speakers. Thank you guys so much for educating, and excited to jump into today's webinar. So back over to you, Isabel.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for joining, Hannah. And I can't believe it's already been a full year of programming that we've done.
Right?
So yeah,
Yeah,
excited to get stuck into next year already.
cool.
Alrighty, so today's webinar, it's really all about discovering the diverse network of support organizations that are dedicated to empowering equity-seeking entrepreneurs across Canada. So we're hoping to provide you with an overview of the available resources, like funding opportunities, mentorship programs, and community support to help you navigate the Canadian entrepreneurial landscape just a little bit better. We have prepared quite a few questions for today's speakers. However, if you do have a question, you can write it in the Q&A box. You'll find that on the bottom function bar of your screen, and we can answer that live for you. You can also put them into the chat. It'll just be a little bit easier for me to moderate them in the Q&A box. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to our speakers for today. We have Karla Briones, who is the founder and CEO of Immigrant Entrepreneur Canada. Candace Lauren, she is the principal and lead consult at CLGC Consulting, as well as the senior national programs manager at BEBC Society. And AJ Stewart, who is manager of partnerships at QueerTech. Hello, welcome, welcome. Great to have you all here. So to help set up today's conversation, Karla, Candace, and AJ have prepared some short presentations to provide some background on their expertise and the sort of the area that they're working within, and help you to get to know them a little bit better. And so we can kind of dive into all the nitty-gritty pieces afterwards. So Karla, I'm going to pass to you first for your presentation.
Okay, thank you so much. I am going to start sharing my screen. And there we go. Hopefully everybody can see this. And I'm just going to enter full screen. There we go. So you should be able to see my entire screen. So, welcome everybody. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you, Isabel and team, and thank you, Hannah, with Pizza Hut for having us here. My name is Karla Briones, and I am the founder of Immigrant Entrepreneur Canada, but I'm also a fellow entrepreneur. I am an immigrant. I'm originally from Mexico, and I am a lover and advocate for small businesses in Canada. As I mentioned, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been a franchisee. So Pizza Hut, I know the franchise world very well. I've owned and operated Global Pet Foods, Freshie restaurants. Then I opened my own consulting, and then I started really advocating for immigrant entrepreneurs just because I am one, and I went through the struggles of navigating the system. And most recently, 2.5 years ago, launched Immigrant Entrepreneur Canada. It all started Entrepreneur Canada in January 2023, right after the pandemic, with 7 women. We just decided to kind of get together and connect with each other, network, and talk about our businesses and support each other. And right after that, January and March, I decided to actually make it official and launch a full-blown national non-for-profit organization to help support immigrant founders to either start, scale, and or acquire businesses. And then the rest is history. Every month, these meetups and these networking events kept getting bigger and bigger, larger and larger. And we're able to provide visibility and opportunities for the community to connect. By the way, we are headquartered in Ottawa. So a lot of our programming is being beta tested here in Ottawa, and we have started expanding regionally little by little. We launched our first program 2 years ago, almost very quickly after we started the organization, which is the summer retail incubator program, which is basically a 2-month in-class cohort of product-based early stage entrepreneurs, and we help them really develop their business from beginning to end. This is just a sample of the curriculum. The idea is not just to help them develop a product-based business, but to help them develop a scalable product-based business and plant the seed of wholesaling, distribution, exporting from the very beginning so that we're able to see that rapid growth. After the classroom environment, we actually have a pop-up shop that we provide to them on 1 week increments. So each entrepreneur gets a residency for a week in the pop-up so that they can actually put into practice what they've learned in the classroom. So the way that I explain it is that you can't really play soccer or learn how to play soccer in a classroom on a whiteboard. You need to kick the ball. So this is our version of, lowering barriers of entry into a commercial retail space and giving them the ball for them to kick. The results have been incredible. We've had 2 cohorts so far because, again, we've only been in operation for 2.5 years. And the wins, I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's been people quitting their full-time jobs because their business is now fully sustaining them. people exporting, people getting residencies at other retail opportunities like Stacked Market. If you're in the Toronto area, you probably know that market. Speaking engagements, grants, and some other have actually launched their own physical locations. And again, these entrepreneurs only started 2 years ago. Well, two cohorts. We just graduated our second cohort, and the wins are incredible. Super proud of that. And these are some common sentiments, obviously very positive, just by being surrounded by fellow immigrant entrepreneurs and finding that community. Now, I want to talk very briefly about the immigrant entrepreneurs in Canada. We're actually growing at twice the rate. And in 2023, 34% of entrepreneurs in Canada were immigrants. And immigrant entrepreneurs are more likely to introduce new products and services because we bring the ideas and the innovation from our countries to Canada. And a really cool stat is that by 2034, immigrants are projected to represent 50% of entrepreneurs in Ontario and British Columbia. And obviously, we're going to see similar growth in the rest of the provinces. So yes, obviously, I'm very biased, but I just think that entrepreneurs, we've done so much already. We've like left everything behind. We started all over. And here in Canada, and Canada's awesome. It is the land of many resources, and we can all attest to that. And when we are entrepreneurs, these resources sometimes are too many that you don't even know where to begin. It's almost like you're being fed by a fire hose, right? When we come from countries when we're not used to the government helping us that much, we land in this beautiful country with so many programs and so many resources that it can be a little bit overwhelming into which one to actually pick for your particular stage in business. I'm very briefly going to go if you are an immigrant entrepreneur or somebody who wants to start in entrepreneurship, just quick little details that might serve you in your journey. Find out where your local small business enterprise center is. This is basically small business resource centers that exist in every actually in every small and major city in Canada. Paid for by your taxes, so take advantage of that. Funded by all levels of government, and you can have access to business coaches, to networking events, to workshops and seminars, and they're available Canada-wise. There are immigrant-focused organizations, settlement organizations that have also created some entrepreneurship programming. Don't underestimate the value of your main public library. They do have business librarians, believe it or not, that can help you with your market research so long as you have a library card. Take a look at your local Chamber of Commerce. They also have great networking opportunities and events. And if you are a student, whether you're in high school or college, university, check your entrepreneurship clubs. Almost every school has either a club or a program that you can join. Entrepreneurship is cool. It's like the in thing. So there are a lot of opportunities for kids and young people in the school networks. When it comes to networking, we come to Canada and everybody tells us network, network, network. And we tend to stay at the beginning within our own cultural community. However, for business and for entrepreneurship, I would recommend you consider going outside your cultural community and really ingrain yourself in the ecosystem. Easier said than done, I believe, because I know it can be very intimidating. Some networking ideas, meetup.com. You can screenshot this slide if you want. Eventbrite has great opportunities, public libraries again, co-working spaces, SBEC, as I mentioned, the Small Business Enterprise Centers, Facebook groups, other social media. Obviously, Startup Canada has great opportunities too, online and in person. Oh, this is a double one. There we go. So some practical tips for navigating supporting organizations. Just make sure that you're matching the program that you're trying to select to your stage of business. So there are going to be programs for startup, for scale up. So just make sure that wherever you are in your journey, that you select the right program. Pick action-based learning over theory. Again, I go back to trying to learn to play soccer in a classroom and not being able to be given the ball. Look for those opportunities where they give you a ball, where you're able to actually put into practice entrepreneurship. Feel spaces where you or choose the spaces where you can feel understood, represented, where there is, a friendly environment. And also look for programs that open doors. There's a lot of theoretical programs, but I think that ask if they're willing and able to connect you with the community, to open doors for you. Obviously, check the time, cost, and expected outcomes and review the alumni success. Super important. You are allowed to ask, what are some alumni that you've had in the past? It's about progress, not perfection. So I know that I probably just like dumped a whole bunch of information here. And it's just about taking at least one little action in the coming weeks. So if you do anything in the coming weeks, at least commit to visiting your local SPEC and maybe even mark a networking event that you plan to attend on your calendar. And again, it's little by little. Entrepreneurship is a long, long journey. So just make sure that you keep moving the ball forward little by little, one small step at a time. And that's about it. So if you are interested to learn more about our programs through Immigrant Entrepreneur Canada, connect with us. We have our website. You can send me an email, and I'm happy to connect with you. Oh, that's my timer here.
Wonderful. Wow, were you right on time?
I was.
Congrats. Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, Karla, for putting that together. I really appreciate it. And it gives such a great, fulsome view of what you're doing, the amazing work that you're doing at Immigrant Entrepreneurs Canada. All right, Candace, I'm going to pass it over to you for your presentation for everyone here today.
All right. All right. I'm going to try to share my screen. You can let me know if you can see it. One moment.
Something is
Are
popping
you
up.
able to
Yes.
see it? Okay, perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
Just like Karla, I'm going to set a timer because I can go on forever. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Candace Lauren. I am the Senior National Programs Manager at an organization called the BEBC. So I'm going to explain a little bit more with my presentation today. This might be a little bit of an information overload, but definitely pull what you can from this presentation. So a little bit about BEBC. We are known as the Black Entrepreneurs and Businesses of Canada Society, and we are Black-led. We are women-led. And we were created in 2020 when COVID was happening and a lot of Black businesses were suffering, very highly impacted. And I am originally from Toronto, but I live in Vancouver now. And I've been able to see us grow from just a few entrepreneurs here in the West to over 3,000 Black businesses across Canada. And the fun fact is that 68%, I would say 70, are women. So it's a really cool collective that we have built here. Very, very excited to share a little bit more. But about us, it's all about advancement and self-determination through entrepreneurship. And we do that through different vehicles. We do a lot of advocacy, but I'll share in a moment. But ultimately, our mission is to help Black businesses, no matter if you're the startup, if you're to growth stages, wherever you are, we want you to be sustainable. This is Jackie Cassandi. She is our founder and CEO. She is an immigrant. So Karla, just like your story, she came from Kenya. And when Jackie came here, Jackie Cassandi is her name. When she came here, she was in the working world, but eventually she decided to create her own store. So on Granville Island, if you are familiar with Vancouver, there is a store called Cassandi. It's all about fair trade products, and a lot of her Kenyan roots are woven into it, a lot of women-owned businesses as well. So Jackie was the one who felt led to create this organization. So this is me and the board. So this has been our consistent board over the past 5 years. We are officially growing now, but all of us have been together over these past 5 years working on our programming. This is me. I am 6'2". I'm very tall. So every time I see this, I laugh, just because at that time, I didn't even know what we were doing. I was like, I'm just going to put my legs up and smile, and we'll just have a good time. But what I love about me is I am an entrepreneur as well. So I've made a lot of mistakes on this journey. And that's why being where I am today is so enriching to my life, because I get to help people from all different phases. But my entity is called CLGC Consulting. I focus on experience design. And so the vehicles that I choose are to use our events as well as programs and ways to connect community. And so I like to weave both of those together. Every day I get to work with a beautiful team. There's myself, Sylvia, Shola, Vivian, and Diakri. We are a small but mighty team, and we all work together collectively to bring a lot to the ecosystem. So this is just Jackie. I'm going to show you a few pictures real quick. This is us in action, right? We were in Edmonton just connecting and sharing about our programs and services. We bring together lots of different founders to keep them abreast of what's happening, but also connect them with funding and other opportunities. And it's always a vibe. We just have so much fun. Laughter is the vibe. So if you are on this call and you're looking to enjoy the process of entrepreneurship, because I know at times it can be very lonely, this is a community you'll always feel that love. We can create a lot of opportunities as well, like our pitch contest. I'll explain that in a moment. But this is one of our pitch contestants that was vying for $25,000 of funding, lots of events and things like that. So these are just some photos from that. We have lots of ecosystem partners that believe in the work that we do. We love them, lots of good times. We also focus on policy. So I just wanted to show this real quick because Jackie was in Ottawa working on some stuff for Black businesses too. So we're always all over the place. And again, lots of fun. So essentially what Black entrepreneurs need is we need a lot of things as Black entrepreneurs, I cannot lie, but these are just some of the things I would say. A lot of guidance through the funding process, gaining access to grants and capital. Community is at the heart of what we do, whether it's a virtual program or an in-person experience, and mentorship is very powerful. And specific pathways for most, right? People who are in tech or retail, consulting, services. We create lots of different programs to give people that opportunity to expand. And for us, one of our signature programs is our procurement programs. I'll explain that in a moment, but it gives entrepreneurs across Canada access to corporate supply chains and government opportunities and so much more. So for us, we are that central hub. We do have partnerships with different entities, and we really do create a safe space. So this is a breakdown a little bit. So don't be overwhelmed by all the text. Just, I would say, look at the bold text. So there's 6 pillars to BEBC, our literacy through financial literacy programs and accelerators, wraparound services. We always stay connected in community. We certify Black-owned businesses and we advocate. And so a lot of the programming that's here, I'm going to break down about 4 pillars real quick for you all. We call it our Black Enterprise Success Track. And so there's 4 key pillars that we'll talk about today. And again, don't worry, because this might be a little confusing, but I'll go through all the steps, I promise. So there's 4 pillars that we're going to talk about today. The first pillar for you to know of in terms of ecosystem support is what we like to call BUILD. And so BUILD is our investment readiness and loan program. The interesting part about Black-owned businesses is we oftentimes hear that we don't get accepted for a lot of funding. And if we do, it's very limited amounts of funding. And so for us, we have partnered with an organization in Ontario called the Black Opportunity Fund, where we're giving loans of up to $50K to Black-owned businesses that have been denied by traditional banks. And so for us, we have an 18-week journey where we will work alongside you, right? We help you with things like your growth wheel, cash flow projections, essentially getting you funder ready. And so some of the things that you can expect is to connect with different funding pathways. For us in BC, these are some of them. We work with community organizations, banking institutions regionally, crown corporations, and national ones as well. And what people love about our programming is we weave in funding as well. So once you complete every step of this track, you will get funding from BOF. So there's a $1,000 grant given to you once you complete this step, which is cool. The next one is Empower. And this is our Black Business Certification Program. We're really proud of this program. We are the only national certifying body for Black-owned businesses specifically and only in Canada. And so it is a journey that we do with Procurement Assistance Canada, and we teach you all about how to get into procurement. So that's another really great one. These are some of the organizations we work with. So you'll get access to these amazing organizations and entities and more. And again, you get access to a whole bunch of markets, you get your grant. I've seen people get up to $5K in grant funding for this. So it's another great one. Stabilize, that one is our literacy program. We're currently in a cohort right now and we're having the time of our lives. It's really good. because it's not just about personal finances, it's about the entrepreneurship journey and how to create proper foundations for business. So again, this has another funding component. And lastly, Transform, our Black business incubator. Things like pitch coaching, branding, visibility, sales, client acquisition, just access to networks is there too. So I would love to send this to everyone because I know there's a lot of text on there, so I won't go through all of that for time purposes. But if you want to connect a little bit more and learn about us, connect with me or the programs team, you can feel free to do that. You can reach us at 236-237-2457, or you can email us. And so, yeah, lots of resources, but we have a lot of fun doing it. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Candace, for putting that together. And wow, yeah, there's lots going on at BEBC. There's so many different programs for entrepreneurs to get engaged with, and to there's great like journey flow for them as well, for them to go from one into the other program. So thank you so much.
There's one thing I forgot to add, Isabel. So when it comes to our procurement program, we've actually just expanded it. So it's not just for the Black community. Anyone from any community is welcome to learn how to get ready and, yeah, procurement ready in general. Yeah. So we're very happy.
Fantastic. Maybe we can dig into what exactly procurement looks like for maybe any of the entrepreneurs in the room or that are watching the recording on how that can exactly work for them. So I'm going to make a mental note to get back to you on that one.
Sounds good. Thank you.
AJ, last but certainly not least, pass it over to you for your presentation.
Can everyone see my screen?
You can, of course, yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much to Startup Canada, firstly, for inviting me here today. Isabel, Wise, I miss you folks so much. My name is AJ. My pronouns are he and him, and I am the manager of partnerships at an organization called QueerTech. A little bit about my background and where I come from. I've been in the not-for-profit world for about six or 7 years now, and I was with Canada's 2S LGBTQI plus Chamber of Commerce before this, which is now CQCC, Canada's Queer Chamber of Commerce. It's going to take me a second to adjust, but I ran their supplier diversity program for several years before ending up at QueerTech to do their partnerships program. So QueerTech is all about strengthening inclusion. We inspire transformation and we stimulate innovation through the tech ecosystem in Canada. We are Canada's largest 2S LGBTQI plus tech community. And we are on a mission to break barriers, create spaces, and connect communities to support and empower the 2S LGBTQI plus community in tech to thrive. Our vision, we released our first research report just about a year ago now. We're coming up to the second half of the report being released in H1 of next year, which is really exciting. But our vision is to increase queer representation in tech to 20%, advance queer leadership in tech to 5%, and increase funding opportunities for queer founders to 15% by 2034. So we're on a 10-year mission to accomplish this. And QueerTech's the way that we support and do this work is through a few different streams of programming. So our community is not simply focused on entrepreneurship. We help to create access for students, career transitioners, and early career professionals. We help to grow leaders at the mid-career and executive senior leadership as well. And we help our partner organizations diversify the top of their talent funnel to bring in more queer talent into their organizations. But the other thing we do, and what we're here to focus on today, is we also help to foster entrepreneurship, both the aspiring entrepreneurs, so ideation, as well as the founder level, where folks are looking for Series A, Series B, or seed funding to really get started. This is what our program offering looks like. So we have the QT Founders Program, which was just launched this year. We graduated 15 out of 18 businesses from our first cohort. So it's a very, very new program. We had 60 businesses apply to our cohort. And we are transitioning away from cohort-based programming because we had so many businesses excited and applying for the program. So we're moving towards an audience-based format for our programming moving forward, where we can just serve queer entrepreneurs ongoing throughout the year. It's not just a one-off cohort and then, oops, you have to wait for the next one. Um, the other thing I'll mention is that everything happens really around our QT Connect meetup. So this is where QueerTech started. We were founded in 2016 in Montreal, and we were a meetup for queer tech workers, whether you were an entrepreneur or whether you were an employee at an organization. Um, that started in Montreal, and then we accidentally expanded across the country during COVID. First virtually, and then in person. So we're now actually in 7 markets across the country every single quarter. So 28 meetups this year. We're adding another stop in Lethbridge next year. So we'll be at 32 meetups through the year, and we bring in entrepreneurship focus, we bring in a talent focus, and as well as just a community and networking building focus with our partners that are local in that area. So really, what we do is network expansion. We help people find the connections they need to be successful in business. And of course, we also have the QT conference, which just happened last week. I emceed the conference, so I've been speaking a lot. So if my voice gives out today, I will excuse myself for some water and then come back. So a little bit about QT Founders. Before we talk about what QT Founders is, it's really important to understand why it exists. So across Canada, 2S LGBTQI+ entrepreneurs repeatedly face systemic barriers, limited access to high-value networks, fewer warm introductions to investors or customers, inconsistent access to mentors who understand both tech and identity-driven realities, and a general lack of safe, supportive spaces where they can show up fully as themselves. Traditional accelerators and incubators often very unintentionally recreate environments that may not feel safe for certain folks within our community. And founders tell us they feel they need to code switch to minimize queerness or overperform emotional labor just to be taken seriously. And this is mentally draining and slows everything down. And imagine saving that mental energy for the really important work of ideation and innovation. QT Founders exists to really break that cycle. We create a space where founders don't have to split themselves between who they are and what they're building. We provide a space where you're surrounded by people who get the lived experience and the ambition who can help you accelerate through these core functions of business. So really at its core, QT Founders is designed to give queer folks and queer entrepreneurs equal access to those networks, those opportunities, and the visibility that drive real early stage growth within a business. It's a program, it's built intentionally with identity and community at the center and not as an afterthought. So we built this program for community. QT Founders is intentionally broad because entrepreneurship is not one size fits all. And this community is for early stage tech founders, solopreneurs bringing an idea to life, innovators experimenting with emerging technologies, or product builders taking an MVP from concept to reality. And entrepreneurs are still validating their ideas, and what they want to know, they want to create something meaningful as well. So you don't need revenue traction or a pitch deck to belong here. What you do need is momentum, the desire to build, the willingness to learn, and the commitment to show up for yourself and for the community. And most importantly, this is a space for people who want support without having to dilute their lived experience. We know how isolating it can be to be a queer founder, especially outside major tech hubs in Canada. And QT Founders is national. It's a virtual community where you can access mentorship, knowledge, and peers who really understand both the craft of entrepreneurship and the complexity of building while navigating identity-driven barriers. So if you're building, growing, experimenting, or maybe even just dreaming, this program is really built for you. So when founders talk about why they joined QT Founders, they tend to mention the same 4 things: access, community, clarity, and opportunity. So the first is really learning and growth. We offer practical founder-driven programming, workshops, master classes, AMAs, and tactical sessions that focus on real challenges, the ones that you're facing right now. Things like go-to-market strategy, building an MVP, fundraising logic, validating your product, or integrating AI automations. Second is access to industry leaders and mentorship. We connect you with leaders across tech, product, design, marketing, and venture capital who understand how to scale a company. Not just generic mentorship, it's real experts within tech who can provide tactical guidance and warm intros. The third, and my personally, I think the most important, network and community founder circles, peer accountability groups, Slack channels, local meetups. It's all designed to reduce founder isolation and help you surround yourself with people who push you, support you, and think like you. And then, of course, visibility and opportunities. So a lot of founders join because they want more visibility, and that's exactly what we help enable them to do. We provide speaking and pitch opportunities at QT events, as well as some partnership events. We provide digital spotlights and major networking pieces as well. We also have a corporate and ecosystem connection. So our partners, especially in some of our venture capital partners, aren't just here to sponsor. They're here to really support founders, and that means warm intros, pilot opportunities, and access to tools and programs that can accelerate your growth. So if you're building something really meaningful and you're ready to expand your network, really this is truly where you belong. Um, some example sessions I've put here. So some of the things that we've focused on in the past, things like product validation and MVP building, AI integration and automation, which is on everybody's mind right now, go-to-market strategy, fundraising fundamentals, pitch coaching and investor readiness, and founder wellness and resilience. So we always do also focus on the mental health and wellness portion of the entrepreneurship experience. So as I said, QT Founders is moving to an audience-based model in 2026. We haven't launched that model yet, but if you're looking for more information, go ahead and scan this QR code and complete the form. And I'll also drop the link in the chat if anyone is interested and can't scan the QR code. And you'll get some more information about QT Founders as we move a little bit closer to launch. And my final ask of you folks is QueerTech has a digital community. Most of our resources, if not all of our resources, from a community standpoint are completely free. So we would love you to join our digital community. You don't have to pay to join. You'll hear about the QT Connect events coming up in your market. You'll be able to join and connect with community organizations, fellow community organizations, as well as other people within our network. Participate in digital ask and offers. There's lots and lots of resources available. So scan that QR code. We're at just over 5,000 community members now, and we're going to 6,000 by the end of the year. So scan the QR code and help us hit that goal, and join a really active and safe community. And that's it for me, Isabel. But thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, AJ. And same to you. There's so much incredible support and programming that you're doing for the 2S LGBTQI plus entrepreneurs. So thank you so much for putting that together and packaging everything that you're doing for this year and beyond. All right. So for all of our attendees today and also watching the recording, I really hope that gave you a really great picture of each of these organizations and who they are, what they do, how they can possibly help you. I know that we are getting some questions in the Q&A box. So I do see those. Thank you so much. So if you do have any questions, a reminder, you can add them to the Q&A box on the function bar screen below. I guess we'll start off with our panel discussion with a question to each of you. As you can see from each of you, you're all providing some incredible resources and programs and community activations that entrepreneurs can get involved in. And then there's everything else that's available to entrepreneurs in the ecosystem. For entrepreneurs that are looking to branch out into the ecosystem. Maybe they're even looking to get started. Are there any practical steps that early stage entrepreneurs should be taking to identify which organizations or which programs best align with their goals and their business stages? Karla, I'll go to you first.
So I thought that was supposed to be my presentation, so that's why I included everything that I did. So copy paste. No, but like
Totally
seriously,
fair.
just being aware, first of all, if you are a newcomer or an immigrant to Canada, just being aware that the ecosystem, the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Canada is very friendly. There is no founder that I've met that is not excited about meeting another founder and trying to help them in their journey. So really looking for those opportunities to connect with different organizations. Again, I mentioned your local small business enterprise center. Looking for those online opportunities like an event like this. I love how much chatter is happening right now in the chat box. And I mean that is networking too. So really try to spread your tentacles in a way that feels authentic to you and in a way that feels safe for you. In our community, newcomers and immigrants, we might have an accent. It might be the first time that we are networking in this country, so it's very intimidating. So trying to find for those safe ways where you can start branching out into connecting with the ecosystem, whether it is online for the first little bit, and then you can start, kind of spreading out into in-person opportunities, and trying to find those friendly spaces for you to network. Yeah, so that's it.
No, beautiful. And you're so right in that I've never met a founder who isn't eager to help someone else, even with, teaching them like these are the things that I did wrong when I started out. So don't make the same mistakes that I did, and passing on that knowledge.
Mhm.
So yes, connect with entrepreneurs that have maybe followed a similar path to you as well is always great. Candace, any practical steps that you would recommend an entrepreneur looking to get into the ecosystem, or they're looking to kind of branch out from where they are now?
Yeah, there's lots of different things I would say that an early stage entrepreneur can do. The biggest thing for me and what I find is when you are curious and you're open, a lot of things manifest. And so for me, when I think about my own journey, there was a lot I didn't know, and I stayed open to getting to know people and seeking mentors who were steps ahead of me so that they could advise me on some opportunities or rooms that I needed to be in. And for me here, because I now live in Vancouver, I started to search what Black serving organizations are here. What can I tap into? And so for me, being a part of BEBC, it has really shown me that a lot of Black entrepreneurs, what we found is a lot of people don't know what's available to them, even though we do send out things and we do have things on social media. It's not enough. So what it's really going to take is connecting with other organizations and seeking those out and being inquisitive and asking what's out there. For example, for us now, the government announced that there's some more funding for Black entrepreneurship programs across the nation, which is cool. So I would encourage early stage entrepreneurs to seek out maybe organizations that's received funding in the past, see if they're still around and what are they doing. For me, I also find that a lot of entrepreneurs need to find a space where they feel safe. And so that may take a moment, right? You need to allow yourself to be in those spaces first. Maybe perhaps start with one-on-one coaching and see if you vibe with the space that you're in, and be comfortable seeking another space until it feels like that's where you should be. But I would say staying curious and yeah, open to new experiences.
Lovely. Thank you, Candace. And AJ, with the QT Connects that you do, are you seeing like um strategies evolving from that from entrepreneurs, or like entrepreneurs that are just coming for the first time, and what steps they're taking to get into the ecosystem?
Yeah, I feel like this is a bit of a double-edged sword. Because I see entrepreneurs from like they're of two different mentalities. The first one wants to get involved with literally everything and burns out in a week. And the second one doesn't understand the value of us of engaging with support organizations and networking. And there's a bit of a gray area, but most people fall. It is, it's not a bell curve. A lot of people fall in these two kind of major buckets. So for the first people, the people who want to get involved in everything, the advice that I always give is honestly, you really need a clear picture of what you actually need right now. What are your goals for the next 1 to 2 years? And don't think beyond that. Even if you look at an ideation cycle, nobody plans 6 weeks for further than 6 weeks anymore. So you kind of have to look at what you need now and what organizations can support you the best there, because there are so many support organizations that are doing really fabulous work, but not every support organization is created equal. And we all, unfortunately, not one support organization can serve everybody at every stage of their entrepreneurship journey. So you really do have to do some internal reflection first and say, where am I in this journey and what do I need? And then find an organization that does that. And once you've moved on, then you get to go and look for a new organization that does that work. But don't join everything because
Yeah.
firstly, your credit card's really going to hate you, and secondly, you'll burn out really, really fast. And what I would say to the other folks about I'm too, we are all too busy as entrepreneurs. We are too busy all the time. But network expansion, being able to load up your Rolodex with new contacts and keeping in touch with those people is one of the most valuable things you can do, not just as an entrepreneur, but just like as a human. I can't tell you how how much my network has benefited me through the last, let's say, year and a half. Things are slowing down, not just in the job market, not just for corporations, but for entrepreneurs and small businesses as well. The economy is slowing. And what is really going to set you apart is the people that you know. So really invest in something, do those extracurricular activities, but be selective about the ones that you do that are really aligned with your priorities.
Mhm. I love that. Like being involved, being intentional with what you are being involved with, is absolutely correct. We have a great question from an attendee that I think is a nice follow-on from that question. So they've said, grants are often industry specific and few and far between. What recommendations can you give for an aspiring entrepreneur who truly has $0 to contribute financially, and their friends and family options have been exhausted? They're struggling to acquire enough for loan deposits, start and launch their business. And just as a continuation, they've explored about 60 resources, including ACOA, BDC, ONB, CBDC for funding. And they feel like networking is their only available resource. Any ideas? Speakers, I'll throw that out for whoever wants to tackle. Karla,
I
yeah.
can start. I mean, so everybody's looking for grants, so it is very competitive. The grant, there is more demand than there is supply. However, there are a lot of programs like, BEBC, for example. Candace just explained that there are programs where you go through an incubation or you go through some programming, and then there is a grant at the end of the program. And like that, there are more opportunities out there. So I would encourage for you to look at, not just look for like the hard, easy cash, like the grant, but also look at what programs are available that come with the wraparound support that you still need anyway. So the learning, the mentorship, and then at the end, it comes with a small grant. But yeah, it is tough out there, especially nowadays. But there are more than there were 10 years ago for sure. So grants are usually going to be attached to something else, like programs and wraparounds of support, which is definitely a great way to
Mm.
get it. I don't know, that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's great advice. Candace, Ray, did you want to add anything to that?
I love what Karla just mentioned. Yeah, that's why we do what we do, is really to help entrepreneurs even just get that boost, that financial injection to get them going. And so for our community, the Black community, a lot of people do not get funded right away. And so it's usually a process that we walk people through. And in the interim, we're very intentional to align with organizations that will give you access to funding, even if your credit score is not the best, or if you're in that stage of rebuilding, there's still access. So thank you, Karla, for mentioning BEBC. Yeah, that's how we do it here, just so that it helps people really just get that leg up. And it's just such a meaningful thing when we hear from entrepreneurs that they were able to afford, business insurance, or get another certification, or create their website, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Every step matters on that journey, even if it's a small incremental one. It builds that momentum. And so, yeah.
And sometimes that amount that you're providing through those programs is really all they need to get started. And there's so much work that goes into finding grants and then applying for them and then waiting for them, and then sometimes you have to spend the money first and then you get reimbursed. There's lots of red tape and lots of strings attached with those as well. So even having that opportunity of having that learning opportunity, and then
There
Karla.
is a really, sorry, there's a really
Yeah.
good tool out there. I think I posted it before, but if there's any grants available that are supported by the different levels of government, they're probably going to be posted on the Business Benefits Finder. So just Google Business Benefits Finder. It's a good place to start, to see what's available in your province.
Thank you. Yes, we can reshare that in the chat, but yeah, I saw that you put that in earlier, Karla. AJ, had you anything to add to that? I saw you on mute, so I want to give you the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, Candace and Karla have said some really fantastic things that I would absolutely echo. Bootstrapping is hard. I feel you. And grants are even harder. Grants take a lot of energy and a lot of time. And there's often things that you have to do as an entrepreneur to fulfill the grant payment. And as Isabel said, sometimes you have to spend the money first. And what if you don't have that money? So grants, the way that they're sometimes very inaccessible. Um, but I will say that it is really critical as a new entrepreneur. If you are looking at doing grants, or any sort of other non-dilutive funding, that comes with strings, make sure you are finding ones that come with support for you as well. That is really, really critical, because there's a lot of companies out there, not just like grantors, funders in general, that will just say, here's money. Um, but that's a really, really slippery slope. So be really, really careful and selective about who you engage with as folks like that. But I will say that doesn't directly, answer your question around how do I get grants. I think this is a question the whole industry is asking right now, and you're not alone. Um, what I will say is that, having a goal of looking for those non-dilutive funding streams is really important. And to come back to this, if you're in tech, a lot of venture capital firms, they network at major tech events. A lot of other funders, they go to major events, and support organizations like the three that are here and other organizations get a lot of free tickets, and they give them away to their members. So if you're looking that now, again, it comes back down to network expansion, where you might be able to, it's about who you know, and it's about who's in the room with you at that time, and who can you introduce yourself to. And the larger your network is, when you apply to that next grant at a COA, and you met someone from a COA at this event that you went to last September, you can now loop back in with that person, say, hey, I just applied for this grant, any feedback? And now you have a foot in the door, right? So it's granting funding is very, very strategic, and you have to think of it from a business strategy perspective versus just an application perspective.
Excellent. Great question. I think it was Tina was who asked that question. Yeah, great thought starter for sure. So Karla, based on your experience in building Immigrant Entrepreneur Canada, what are some of the biggest gaps that you've seen in how newcomers access entrepreneurial support in Canada? Or anything that, you were kind of surprised to learn when you were starting out?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it's like when you come to Canada, and depending on which country you're coming from, I came from Mexico, and in Mexico, we're not very used to the government helping us that much. There's a reason we leave sometimes our countries. So when I came to Canada, I came with the idea that I was going to be very self-sustaining as I was operating in my own country because I thought that that's how we operate around the world. And it was a huge surprise, good surprise, that Canada has all of these programs and that there are all of these beautiful organizations with so much programming, so much support. But as you're trying to stabilize your life in a new country and getting like all of this, landslide of information and programs, it's like drinking from a fire hose. It's like, oh my God, like this is great, but which one do I pick? Which one do I choose? And it's like information overload, right? So trying to settle in this new country, if you have children, trying to get your kids settled, and then all of a sudden you want to open a business and try to get that programming, realize that there is programming, which one do you choose? So I think that information overload is one. Another challenge that I've seen is how fragmented entrepreneurship is in Canada in terms of the different levels of government. For something you need to do it through the province. For something else like permits, you need to deal with the municipality. For taxes, you need to deal with the federal government. So understanding the landscape and how everything works so that nothing falls through the cracks, it's a pretty big challenge. And last but not least is the access to financing because credit history doesn't migrate with us. So if we're somebody who was very successful in our home country and then all of a sudden we migrate to Canada, that credit history doesn't come with you. So it's like we're building our credit from the ground up. So accessing to financing, accessing to those, to that capital, without having to dig into your own reserves becomes pretty challenging. So these are some of the issues that we are seeing. I don't think, honestly, people also add language, language barriers. I think that the level of immigration here in Canada and the quality of immigrants that arrive to Canada, it's so high. Like people come here with PhDs. People come there. Canada chooses the best of the best from around the world. And language is not necessarily the issue. The issue is all of the intricacies in this country of how fragmented everything is, the access to credit, and the large amount of information that is hard to kind of sift through. Yeah, so those are like the main challenges that I see with immigrant entrepreneurs.
Mhm. Thank you so much for bringing us through that. And I feel like your the work that you're doing is mitigating a lot of that for them for them as well with the different opportunities you provide. So thank you. And Candace, I know you mentioned procurement, so I kind of wanted to um swing back to that. And through your work with BBC Society, how have funding and these procurement opportunities for Black entrepreneurs evolved, and what progress still needs to be made?
I feel like there's a lot of progress that needs to be made, but there have been a lot of great strides in the right direction. So what I'm going to do is place some things in the chat, but I'd like to talk about a few things. So when I mentioned earlier that BEBC was created in 2020, I would say that is for me when I was consciously aware of a lot of those shifts to support more Black entrepreneurs on their entrepreneurship journeys. And so there are a few ones that we work with that I'd love to share with everyone on the call, just so you can learn a little bit more outside of this. So the first one that I want to mention is it's called the Supporting Black Canadian Communities Initiative, or SBCCI. And so there are 4 intermediaries across Canada that are dispersing funds to a lot of nonprofit organizations, which in turn comes back to the community in different ways. And for us, it has been a huge help to help us push some of the initiatives and programs that we have for the community so that they can get access to even more support. Another one, there's 2 really major ones that I want to share as well. These are some funding programs through the Black Opportunity Fund. And the thing that's really cool about them is they have the government level that they support, right? The Black Entrepreneur Program, but they also have different types of support. So you'll see on the page, there's grants for arts and culture, criminal justice, there's education, health, beyond scholars, there's Black food and restaurants, and there's just so many different things. We know as a Black community, food is at the root of a lot of our culture and what makes us who we are. And so a lot of these granting opportunities were done strategically with that in mind, to think about aspects that the Black Canadian experience entails, right? And so it's not just the business side of things, but it's also for other Canadians that are looking for support in other areas. And there's one more organization I want to share. It's called the Foundation for Black Communities. So they have a lot of grant funding as well that they give out every year. They have something called the Black Ideas Grant, or BIG, BIG. And so they just finished closing their 3rd round of that funding. But the cool thing about all of these organizations is that if you dig a little deeper on some of these websites, you'll be able to see some of the organizations that have been funded. And I encourage any and everyone to see where they are in Canada, if they're in your province, in your city, and connect right away. And in terms of funding supports, we don't know. There are still gaps. We're very grateful, of course, that the government announced the extension of the Black Entrepreneur Program, which is great across the nation. So we will have some more funding injected across Canada, but that's only for the next 3 years. We don't know beyond that. And if our political landscape changes, that funding may go away. And so the biggest thing at BEBC that we really pride ourselves on is figuring out how can we be sustainable over time so that we're not relying on government funding. And for us, our model is really focused on all of the programs that I just mentioned. We have a beautiful relationship with BOF. So our programs outside of the government funding will allow us to be sustainable over time and to serve the community. So I would say that just the biggest gaps are how can we continue to have this funding over long periods of time, but also how can we empower ourselves to not necessarily rely on that and to serve the community into the future. So that's where we're at.
Thank you, Candace. And Panita has asked in the chat, is it only for the Black community, or are there any other ethnic groups or groups of folks that you support?
Oh, we support all communities. Our mandate is focused on the Black community, but for example, our procurement and certification readiness course, anybody can join it. We do have general cohorts for Canadian entrepreneurs, as well as our entrepreneurship and newcomer financial literacy program. Those are our 2 biggest programs that we offer at the current moment, and it's open to any Canadian business entrepreneur.
Thank you, Candace.
Yeah.
And AJ, with the incredible work that's being done in QueerTech to create these, as you said, like these safe spaces for queer entrepreneurs, to meet one another, to build their community and build their network. What sort of support is being provided for queer entrepreneurs when they're moving beyond those spaces that aren't necessarily focused primarily on their group or their community?
That's a great question, Isabel. I wanna just add on to the funding conversation before we 100% move on. And for those of you who don't know me as well as Startup Canada, I'm infamous for calling out a bunch of funders on stage at a Startup Canada event in Calgary a couple of years ago, because their advice to founders was for getting business loans and getting funding was have a good credit score. Not Great advice. Anyway, there are a lot of support organizations out there, but one of the things that we haven't figured out, and this is a systemic barrier, absolutely it is how to create better access for folks who are newcomers, for folks who don't have the support and access to these support systems to help them build. Coming to a newcomer to Canada and saying, "What's your credit score?" It's awful for so many reasons, but this is something that we have not figured out as a society yet. I will say Meridian has a loans program that is, and I'll drop it in the chat, supported by BDC. And they use a different ratio to calculate if you're eligible for a loan or not. And it's based more on the reliability. It's like I can't remember what it is right now. It's not a FICO score, but it's like a FICO score. But it's based more around the history of your business versus your credit score. Your credit score does factor in still, but it's less important than other major institutions. So if you take a look at it, and it also comes with supports from BDC. So I will go back to your question now, Isabel. I'm going to share a couple of metrics. So the first one is 1 in 3 queer entrepreneurs feel they need to hide their identity when attending business meetings or pitching. And 1 in 4 believe that they have lost business opportunities because of their identity. So imagine the lost energy those kinds of mental gymnastics take. It's exhausting when you have to censor yourself in an event, or even in just the simplest questions like, how was your weekend? Can I answer that authentically or can't I? And how much energy that actually takes. Another challenge is that a lot of programs aren't built for queer founders. So it's really hard to tell if a space is actually safer or supportive. Geography plays a really big role too. Most support is concentrated in big cities, which leaves founders in other regions feeling very disconnected, which is why QueerTech does most of its programming virtual, if not all. And I use safer space intentionally. I don't use safe space because safe space does not exist. Nobody can guarantee a 100% safe space all the time, but what we can work towards as a community is safer space. And that's not just for 2S LGBTQI plus folks, that's for everyone with a diverse lived experience. But then you also, on top of all of that, have the magnified challenge around intersectionality and compounded lived experience, which we, as a not-for-profit industry, have not solved in terms of the support organizations and the support that we offer. There are spaces for queer folks, there are spaces for racialized founders, spaces for women. But what if I'm a Black trans woman who's also neurodivergent? Where do I go to be fully seen and not just one piece of my identity at a time? And there are some organizations that can do this kind of well, but it's just something that we haven't figured out how to be everything to everyone yet. And I think personally, the best thing that we can do is create a really strong network of support organizations that support a person's identity holistically in different ways. That's my personal opinion, because one organization cannot do it all, but there are so many organizations out there, and if we figure out how to really truly connect ourselves, we're going to be unstoppable. And I don't know if we've completely figured it out yet, but this is one of the barriers around, am I safe to be queer in this space, but am I safe to be Indigenous over here? But what if I'm Indigenous over here as well? Am I still safe? And we haven't answered that question yet. So again, this comes down to really still being selective and recognizing that we're still operating in a world where a lot of our support systems are built on a one-size-fits-all model that doesn't always reflect our lived experience. But that doesn't take away from the incredible work that's happening out there with a lot of these organizations. It just means that you need to be intentional about where you invest your time.
Mhm. Excellent. Thank you so much, AJ. And like you've all spoken about navigating these spaces and these ecosystems and all these incredible programs, accelerators, incubators that entrepreneurs can be involved in. But how can entrepreneurs kind of select to do all these things and decide which activations they want to be a part of and what communities they want to engage with, while they're also supporting the growth of their business. And kind of, I suppose, how do they find that balance and where should they um, be placing more attention to when? And it's kind of a question to all of you. AJ, you've unmuted.
Yeah, sure. I can go first. It's strategy. It's about building a business strategy that intentionally brings these pieces into your business, right? The minute that you set your this type of engagement as an objective for your year, and you put key results in place and metrics in place to track how successful this was, so that next year you can look at the organizations you engaged with and say, was this successful for me? Did I get what I wanted out of it? And that lights the fire for us to make sure that we are being successful in making sure that we're providing value to our community members. But the biggest thing is that, you know, a lot of people, this is my business, and then I'm going to do these things over here off the side of my desk. And that's not setting yourself up for success. You have to build it into your strategy, so you build time to actually do these things because they're very important. They're critical. They're business making decisions, and you have to treat them as such.
I love that business making decisions. It's excellent. Candace or Karla, anything to add to that?
I can go next. Yes, I agree with AJ, but on the community that I serve many different intersectionalities as well, right? So they are immigrant, but I also have like immigrant women who are refugees of a different culture that they don't necessarily feel safe in all of the environment. So what I recommend is just setting a goal. And again, progress, not perfection, right? So setting a goal that maybe once a month or once every other month, you're going to get out of your comfort zone and you're going to look for that one community or one opportunity or one networking or what something that in order to get different results, you need to do things differently. So if what you've been doing is not working, that means that something needs to change. Um, and be intentional about it, but go at the rate where you feel comfortable, where you feel seen, where you feel included. And it could be a once a month thing or once every other month, depending on how safe you feel, and how comfortable you feel. But so long as you are intentional about it and you keep moving that ball forward, I think that's a huge win. I mean, I've worked with a lot of Muslim women who are refugees, who their language, some of them, their language barriers, particularly with the refugee community, their barriers, the language barriers are a bit stronger. So trying to find those opportunities to integrate them into our local ecosystem in a way that they feel seen, safe, and where they feel that they can participate and they're not going to be ignored. So really finding those opportunities, and it may have to start in an environment of their own culture, so that they can start getting integrated. And then those people from that same culture, then they can invite them to other opportunities so that they're not going alone. So yeah, it has to be a intentional decision, something that is reasonable for you that you can stick to. Even if it's a once a month thing, is better than nothing, but something that is going to be consistent and is going to give that level of confidence. It's going to build your confidence so that you can take more and integrate yourself more into the ecosystem. That's on with my lenses in my immigrant entrepreneurship community.
Yeah. Excellent, Candace. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, as I was hearing Karla speak, this past week was it was such a beautiful week for me because I was doing an info session with the Kenyan community in BC. And it was so beautiful because when Karla was just talking about cultural association and, feeling included and seen, what I learned about that community here in BC is they're rooted in entrepreneurship. So there were so many of them there and they want to see each other win. They want to see each other grow. And by creating these opportunities for them to connect culturally, we then created programming for them to see what other opportunities were out there to bring them into this idea of being procurement ready and doing business with the government, doing business with corporations. And so it was just such a beautiful synergy as I was hearing Karla speak, because I was thinking that was my week last week. And then I got to go to this really great gala that they had to celebrate their heritage over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And BEBC won an award there for just the things that we're doing in community. But I was so inspired when I looked around. There's so many business owners rooting for one another. And sometimes that might just be the perfect start for you in your particular city.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Candace. All right, we've got about 7 minutes left for questions. So attendees, if you have any burning questions that you'd like to ask our speakers, please feel free to add them into the Q&A box. I did see someone had put their hand up, but they put it down, so I can't remember who it was. So if that person has a question, you can add it to the Q&A box, and I can ask on your behalf. I guess I'll go into some the wrap up questions. We did have quite a lot of questions planned out for today that we didn't get to absolutely all of them. But I'd love to talk a little bit more about resources that are going beyond each of your organizations. Is there any resource that you find yourself going back to time and time again for entrepreneurs that, maybe it's like a common challenge that they're always working through, or it's maybe just a lesser known resource that you're trying to get the name out there into the community? AJ, I'll pass to you first.
Oh, I'm on the hot seat.
Yeah.
I think this is really truly dependent on where you are
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur. Again, it can't be one size fits all. If you have a business, you're generating revenue, you're past your first fiscal year, you've filed your taxes, you've paid your taxes, a inclusive procurement program is probably the next step for you. So whether that's a program that Candace laid out or whether it's a supplier diversity program through CQCC, there are organizations that certify diverse owned businesses in various different lived experiences. And if you would like more information about that, feel free to email me and I will direct you to the right organization that can certify. Um, but that's probably where you belong if you're making money, if you're generating revenue. If you're still looking for seed funding, then it's accelerators. And I don't know if I have a specific recommendation. Startup Canada's got some great programs. There you go, Isabel. There's also great recommendations on the Futurepreneur website. There's also great recommendations on so many other organizations. But here is my offer. Is that if you are finding it hard to find the resources that you need, I've dropped my LinkedIn, I've dropped my email in the chat. Feel free to reach out and we can have a chat about what your needs are and what your goals are. And I'm happy to lean on my network to support you.
Love that, nurturing the connections already for everyone here today. Thanks, AJ. Karla or Candace, any resource that you find yourself just time and time again sharing with entrepreneurs?
Yeah, just to piggyback a little bit off of what AJ was mentioning, we With our procurement program, we have a week 10, that's focused on other supplier diversity certifications. So we love to connect with IWSCC or WEB or, all the others. So I agree that procurement is such a powerful vehicle. It helps you to think of other revenue streams. It allows you to be expansive in your thought process of what's possible. And that's what I love about that program in particular. Most people come in confused, not knowing how to do business with the government or even just how to position themselves for corporate opportunities. And then they leave and they see, and they're very empowered. And our measurement of success is not that people complete the course, is that they get certified with other entities. It's that they close the deals. And so I would say that resources to share would be, as AJ mentioned, different supplier diversity certifications. BEBC is one, but there's so many others. And each of these certifications, they have corporate members, they have, custom events and conferences and things that you can take part in and be a part of the network. See who's in the room, you never know. And sometimes it just takes that one person in that room to make a difference or shift the trajectory of your business. And so I always encourage people to stay connected in community in whatever form that is. And so I too am here. So if you have any questions, even if you're not a part of the Black community, I am open and ready to support also.
Wonderful. Thanks, Candace.
Yeah.
Karla, anything to add to that?
Yeah, no. So for myself, the for the demographic that we serve, the resources that we keep promoting over and over, just because they're so valuable. I'm probably going to sound like a broken record, but is the local small business centers. They're really, really powerful in terms of all of the resources that they have available. Your local innovation center, your RIC centers, they're basically like, if you are a tech entrepreneur, it's sort of like the equivalent of the Small Business Enterprise Center, but for tech founders. They do run a lot of incubators, accelerator programs, and lots of really dynamic programming. And then last but not least, oh yeah, did I say, yeah, Business Benefits Finder is the other one, just if you're trying to kind of take a look at what's available in Canada. And then for very specific to your business, to your particular business idea or your particular business, bizpal.ca. It's fabulous to find out, especially if you're at the startup phase, if you're or idea startup and you don't know what licenses, permits, where do you go for X, Y, or Z for your specific type of business in your specific city? Bizpal.ca has all of the information. And again, it's a Canada-wide website.
Brilliant. Just popped that into the chat for everyone. These are great. Thank you so much for sharing these and for offering to connect with our attendees today offline if there's anything that they're looking for specifically that they're having difficulty finding. I feel like that's a good place for us to conclude our conversation today. I feel like we've talked lots and lots around ecosystem support and community, and the sentiment really seems to be just kind of put some intention behind it. Think about what you are looking to get out of these different ecosystems, these different support organizations, and then just setting aside some time to dedicate to that, so that you can work in your business in a healthy way, but then you're also providing yourselves these opportunities to grow and expand in learning and your network. I feel like that was somewhat of a good summary that I reeled off. Thank you, Karla, Candace, and AJ for joining us today. It's absolute pleasure to speak with you. For our attendees, I hope you found some nuggets of gold in this. And if you're watching the recording, AJ, you might be getting some LinkedIn requests for quite some time afterwards if people are watching the recording. Thank you to our attendees for also joining here today. As we've said a few times, you have very busy days as an entrepreneur, and you have to select on what is the best way to spend your time, and you decide to spend it with us. So thank you so much for carving out some time in your day for us. We have a very quick feedback poll that we're going to launch now. It'll pop up on your screen just in a few moments. But while that is going up, a few quick thank yous to first and foremost our presenting partner, Pizza Hut and Equal Slice for their generous support of this program, and their commitment to supporting equity deserving entrepreneurs. For anyone wondering, or who rather were asking about different funding opportunities, a part of this program is us providing grants to equity deserving entrepreneurs across Canada. And we give these out through our pitch competitions. So we do one in person, which is typically in the summertime around June, and then we also do a virtual pitch that is open to anyone across Canada. And we give away $100,000 total in grants to 10 entrepreneurs. So the prizes are $10,000 each. So if that sounds like something you want to be a part of next year, you want to put your name in the hat to possibly do that, you can sign up to our newsletter, and you'll hear about the launch first. So we typically launch our programs between February and March. So sign up to the newsletter, make sure they're the first people to know when we are launching our 2026 program. But this concludes our 2025 Startup Canada Equal Size program. Couldn't have thought of better people to be closing it out with. So thank you all so much again for joining today. I'll keep the poll open just for a few moments, but speakers, attendees, you're good to go for the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks again, folks. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks. Wonderful. All right. Thank you everyone so much.